Hey, Waylon the Welder here. I'm gonna do a little video today on putting a metal roof on over a shingle roof on a mobile home. I got a 14 by 60 single wide. It is a 2009 Berkshire, a wind zone 3 home, and it come out of Louisiana, built for the coastline, stuff like that. However, this trailer was made for FEMA in the flood relief down there. The thing is, this trailer is a little bit different than most of your mobile homes. Got a lot more vents, stuff out the roof. This trailer come with gutters on the side and shingles overhang, and I got to take all that off before I can put my drip edge down on this bottom side before I can run my runners. And I'm going to show you a quick picture of what that looks like. All right, so as you can see here, we got a gutter down the whole edge of this home, all the way around. On the eaves too. Notice it's screwed in there probably every, I'm gonna say, 1.5 to 2 inches all the way down this trailer. And it's been a lot of work. And they also put sticky tape behind it. Did a good job with it. I'm just trying to get it all off here now so I can go ahead and start putting this trim on. However, if you look up under here, it's got a drip edge also. It's got a drip edge here. So my shingles overhang approximately 1 inch right here under here, and I have to cut this all the way back in here so I can put my drip edge on. The reason I'm wanting to put this on is because you see this little low spot right here? It seems like it's getting low in a couple spots right here. And this roof, like I said, it seems to be a cheap asphalt shingles. And on the back they're starting to lift up like this are, so I'm gonna go ahead and redo it. But this is my first step, first problem. All right, so that was my drip edge hanging off of the shingle here. Notice it's still got the butyl tape and the holes in it, and it stuck out about 3/4 of an inch. With the shingle I had close to 1 inch, 1.1 sticking off the roof here. And I was gonna cut it with the razor blade, and I was like, man, that's just too much for me to do. And then I still had to come back and take this edge off. I said, well, I just gonna take the skill saw with an old wore out ass blade and run it. And I actually set my fence up here and run it for about 1.5 inches off, okay, where the cut is. And as you can see, I cut a little bit into the wood there. It didn't mess up my gutter anywhere, where my fascia board. And I'm gonna come back and put my 2x4 up here, and my new drip edge is gonna come down and cover this. It's not gonna cover all of the fascia board, but at least I'm hoping it's gonna cover up these 10,000 holes I got on this trailer here, or I might have to come back and caulk them. So, but yeah, as you can see there, I just set the blade on the scale saw probably a 1/2 inch, and put the fence on it. And as you can see down in it, scored it a little bit. All right, so I'm up here marking out my studs up here. And what I did is every 16 inches, my miner might have set on every 16 inches. So what I did is going through here and I'm marking every 16 inches. So I'll make sure when I screw that in there, my runner's on there, that I'll hit a stud every time. And if you got one of these tape measures in, this is Milwaukee. Shout out to Milwaukee for highlighting every 16 inches all the way down to 25 foot down there. And I'll do that for each row. I'm running 4 sets of runners on each side here, and make sure I get a good stud in each one. All right, so we got one of the exhaust pipe flanges in here. This is how you cut up the second one. This is a nice one I found at supply store there in town, more of an industrial thing. You can see here it's got your numbers cut out for different sizes. Shout out to Dake Industries right there. We got it cut out for a 2 inch at the top. You got to get some of this butyl tape here. Okay, it's like a sticky gray tape. That was what was on the side of the house with the what you call it. So what you do is you butyl tape all around this edge on this flange. So when you go to put it down on your roof that has a good sticky and a good hold on it all the way around there. Some of them are square, some of them are round. I prefer the round ones. If you're going to use the square ones, put the sharp edge at the top so the water will help it run off in either direction and not sit on the flange up there. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna slide this on. You got your butyl tape down there. I would like to be able to get this on one side. It looks like it's gonna hit both, so I'm gonna pick one side. I'm gonna fold it up so the water will be able to get by on the other side. Okay, press that down. Get a good stick on that butyl tape. As you can see there, it grabs it pretty good. Now, when you're putting these on, this one over here, you want to put a screw in it about every 1 inch. Now, you don't want to mash them down where it squeezes everything out. Sometimes I get a little happy with that. Start to see that tape squeeze out of there. I know I like that one. And I like to go ahead and put these in on the bottoms next to this crazy angle here first. There we go. And then we'll just go around about 1 inch apart. And let it grab. And don't be shy on these with the screws. I know a lot of guys trying to make it work. You need to put them tight. Remember when we put that wood in there under this? And that's why we did that. That one went in there fast. Remember when you tighten these down, you just want to make sure that that washer swells out a little bit, just like that. Make sure they won't turn with your fingers. Okay, they shouldn't. I mean, if they turn with your fingers, that means it ain't sealed and it's gonna leak. I could not find these at Lowe's. Found some at Home Depot. They are kind of expensive. These are, let's see here, I'm gonna put 2 right there. I think at Home Depot they're about $37 a piece. But these here are a little bit cheaper. I'm gonna put 1 in up here. Kind of curl this edge over if I can. There we go. All right, so now that we're done, we're gonna wanna come back with some caulk. We wanna caulk this top leading edge at least. You can caulk the whole thing, but at least the top leading edge. I'm gonna let this butyl tape dry up a little bit and I'll snip that off, clean that off. And then you wanna run your bead around your PVC pipe up here, just in case. A lot of guys pull these things up, pull them back up, so that piece on the bottom won't hold no water. But it's not a big deal. This stuff is very durable. It's gonna hold up. And that's how you put your exhaust vents on. All right, so up here on the roof, I got my runners. I put 4 up here, spaced equally apart. Got 1 at the bottom edge down here. And I've got my drip edge flashing on. Comes up under here a little bit, nice and tight. I went with the 2x4 for runners, and the reason I did that is because it's gonna give me a little bit more air gap in here for some circulation in there. You don't have to do that. A lot of guys use 1x4s. I went with the 2x4s, so I don't have to put anything else down. The orange marks here are where my studs were. I went ahead and marked those. So every other one, 32 inches, and down at the corners, and we'll put that on there. We're expecting a little bit of shower today, so I went ahead and tarped it a little bit just in case. When you put this flashing on, you don't have to put a lot of nails in it, just some roofing tacks every you know, every 3 feet or so, because when you put your bottom sheet of tin on and you screw it down in here with your screws, it's going to tie it all in. All right, so up here around my exhaust vents, putting this metal on top of these shingles, you got to build some kind of framing around these exhaust vents, so when you put your cap on there from the outside, you got something to screw into all the way around. You know, you got to put a screw about every inch in that thing with some butyl tape on the bottom to make sure it holds. And if you were just doing like this, it's not going to reach down and grab onto anything. You need it to grab, so that's why the wood is there. And we're going to do 2 of those here, and I just boxed them together. It ain't got to be nothing perfect. I try to put my screws out of the way of the cap, so when I screw down into it, I don't screw on top of any screw heads or anything like that. All right, so this is where one of those attic vents were in the top of this mobile home. You can see actually a good bit of insulation, and then of course they just threw the thing down in there. I mean, that's typical. But I'm not putting any of these on the new roof. That's why another reason I went with the 2x4s is so they'll have that extra airspace under it, so it'll still circulate. But I want as few holes in the top of this metal roof as possible. And so I'm just going to eliminate them. I'm going to run this. I'm going to run my runners right down here. These white marks is for where my rafters are. And I'm going to screw that thing in there and keep going. Getting ready to panel over here now. So that's up to you though. As big as they were, I don't want to have to fit over 2 and 3 ridges in a sheet of tin. So I'm not doing that. And if it works, I hope it does. Good to go. If not, I'll deal with it later. All right, so I'm putting my end cap on here. Getting ready to do this in here, and what I like to do is cut this corner off for about 1.25 inches. I'm gonna cut this piece off, throw it away. And I'm gonna cut this piece off over here and throw it away. And then I'm gonna take my hands and just fold this piece that's left over, so I have a nice square edge when it comes back down, and it'll cover the end of the metal, and then that way bugs won't be able to fly up in there and stuff like that. For a good place for wall snares. That's just me. That's something that I like. Not something that you got to do, but I'll show you what it looks like in a second. All right, so I got my piece cut back here, both sides, and then what I'm gonna do is just kind of put some pressure on it, and it'll kind of bend, okay, and then just kind of make sure my corners are nice and tight. Okay, I don't really like that gap over there, so what I do is just, remember this is going to be hanging off the house. You'll kind of want it to look decent, but that's up to you. And then this piece down here, I want to make it a little tighter. There we go. And so that way when it hangs off the roof, you'll have a nice little covered edge there. I got my gable ends up here, kind of sitting in place. I don't know if you can see, but this is where the 2 meet right here. All right, and that's the very edge of it there. And so I'm gonna cut this one back over here just a little bit, and we ain't talking much. I'm talking about 1 inch or so that when we come back, I can put a screw up here all the way through this piece, just one, to hold them all both together here. All right, so putting on the foam enclosures here now for the ridge cap, and went ahead and run a chalk line down here all the way one end to the other, so I would know where my ridge cap is where it's gonna lay. And I went ahead and marked it. And when I'm putting my foam enclosures, as you can see, I'm putting about a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch back. They actually going to cover these heads of these screws, and when you screw down from your ridge cap down into here, it'll go down to the blue line hopefully and squeeze this down, so no water and stuff will get up through here. They come before to a pack, they just kind of glued on the back there. Got a little hooks in the end. These are honestly kind of the cheaper versions. I would like to got the ones that look like a Scotch Brite pad in here and let a little bit more airflow through here. They didn't have those, and I wasn't waiting You got tropical storm season coming, so I was trying to get this thing up. I am gonna leave the ends open of the gable so they'll breathe a little bit and let some of that heat out. The other side actually did a little better job. I did a little better job measuring those, and they come out a little better. And none of my screw heads will show. I think I might have one or two down there out of line, and they might show up. Hopefully they won't when I get this thing done. All right, down here on this end, on these ends, this foam won't go over your gable end, so I just come in here and put a little butyl tape to help seal that thing down, both sides over there. Kind of maybe keep the noise down too if wind got in it or something. When I screw it down flat, it'll help seal it. But I'm gonna leave this end open out here so the heat, some of the wind and heat can escape from that. And it looks like, that's what it looks like when I got it. It's ready. As you can see, it goes right down to the blue chalk line. Kind of give me an idea, maybe a 1/4 inch back from it. Getting ready to put the ridge cap on now. All right, putting on the ridge cap up here now. Got about 4 sections up here, and they 10 foot each. I'm putting a screw in each rib. I don't think you have to. I think you can go every other one, but I got screws, and that's the least of my worries. Now, I like to overlap mine at least 2 ribs before I put the new piece on. Peel your plastic back if yours comes with it, or sometimes they don't. As you can look here now, it's sitting just under the edge of my foam, which is right where I want it. Now, when you go to put your new one up on top of it, overlap it too. I like to give it just about a 1/4 inch there. Okay, I'm gonna screw that in. I'd always like to line up the front side, so if I got to make any adjustments, I can do that. Notice that my foam layer is just under there, so hopefully it doesn't get damaged by the sunlight and stay up there for a little while. Now, with this ridge cap, you can't just put screws in it and just start hauling ass. You can't do that. You need to put one down here. You need to go down to the other end, size it up right with your chalk line, and put one in it loosely. Okay, loosely. And then you need to go back to the other side, do it over there, and then walk back and do it in here. And then you're going to put 1 or 2 in the middle, spacing them out and moving this thing. And I'll show you later that you can squeeze this thing down and get it to come out or go in, you know, that 1/4 inch or so that you need. All right, so don't just go yee-haw on that thing. You actually got to take you a little time. Give me a second, I'll be right back. All right, so I got my first one in down there. I'm gonna come down here, I'm 2 away. 1, 2, start on the 3rd one here. We'll put it in. Now you see what I'm saying about these foam enclosures? They move a little bit, so don't go by the foam enclosures. Go by your chalk line that you put down. Just enough. All right, so on the back side here now, you can see that they're just sitting there, they're not lining up, okay? However, when you put your hand on this thing, it'll go right back down to it, okay? And we want to make sure that we don't leave no gap down here. That's why you put your hand down on it, and you're going to screw that first one there. Then we're going to go back down to that other end and put another one down there to kind of keep it from walking on us. All right, so I'm back down here. I got 1, 2, 3 screws in here, and you can see that I'm watching the line as I go, watching that chalk line. You also might want to take your finger and push that up under there a little bit. I don't really like that a little bit. I want to go a little bit further up under there. You need to do that because that glue and that sticky stuff haven't dried yet, but you give it a couple days when the sun, and it ain't going nowhere. And also, when you put your screw in here, it's actually going to go down through your foam, and it ain't ever going anywhere then. All right, down here at the end, I just put a screw down on each side right here. You can kind of see that butyl tape squeezing out there on the ends. I left this end open to let some of that vent a little bit. And as you can see, let me get all the plastic off and I'll be able to show you pretty straight. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the ridge cap especially. It's tough, but overall I think it went well. You got to take your time on the ridge cap. That's because it's going to walk all over the place with you if you don't. A few screws at a time, spacing them out. All right, so this is the final product. Got it all finished up. I think it looks good. It's been a couple weeks. I don't have any leaks on the roof. Nothing yet. You can see my nice drip edge. You can see the foam enclosure in there. Everything looks good, screwed down good. And you can see the foam enclosures up top. Kind of close it off pretty good. So I think that's a wrap. I'm happy with it. I think overall I got about $3,300 in it. And that's with 2x4s instead of 1x4s. And with the price of lumber being so damn high right now, I don't think that's bad. So give the video a like and holler at me.